Welcome to the first episode. Actually, this is episode 10, but the first episode of Barako and BS, where I answer or deflect on any of your questions. But first of all, what is Barako? I mean, there's lots of first of alls, but Barako, you might ask, it is a coffee variety from the Philippines. It's known for its strong, bold taste. Typically drank black. My titos who were farmers would drink it, would just straight up black with muscovado sugar. They would strain it with a t-shirt, or they would say medyas, meaning socks. But yeah, Barako means strong, matapang. I don't know what matapang is in English, so maybe someone can comment what that means. But yeah, so Barako is, this coffee that I'm drinking right now. See my coffee mug right here. But yeah, lots of questions. So if you see this background, it's a little different. This is my studio slash warehouse where some of the magic happens. Maybe I'll do a studio tour in one of the episodes. But I wanted to create this series where I answer people's questions on video, just to kind of get more in depth. But also because when I answer on IG or anything like that, it usually gets lost in the ether. So this way, the questions will be documented and all over the YouTubes, the Instagrams, the Substacks, the TikToks, wherever. But if you want to submit a question, since this is audio slash video, you can send a video of yourself asking a question, or you can send in a voice recording if you want to. Probably the easiest is just to on IG. There's that feature where you can send a voice memo. You could do that, and if I like it, then I will go ahead and play it. But video would be better, so we can actually see each other's face, because it is, after all, about the human connection, right? Am I right? Speaking of human connection, this setup right here with this mic, it's not the ideal podcast situation that I usually have, but I'm still setting up the studio. So I have this little portable microphone here, and it is attached to so I don't like attach it. And when I attach it to the collar, it kind of like, it's a quitter. It kind of folds outward, or it hits my neck. So, but I attached it to the back scratcher. If you're on video, here's a preview of that back scratcher. I don't know if this X-rated or not, but if it'll get banned, but oh well. So, all right. What else? Mid-Feb, going to Texas next month. Going to Dallas on March 15th. I'm going to work with a group out there called Pace. I'm going to do a couple tattoos as well. If you all are in Texas, hit me up. I'll send you the info about that. What else? On the 20th of this month. Oh, yeah, the 20th. I'll be at the Chabot Space Center in Oakland. That is this Thursday. So right when this episode gets released, it is Thursday. It's a private event, but I'll be documenting what's going on there. I should have been more prepared with all the stuff that's happening event-wise, but oh well. But you are here for the questions. So with that, and I must say, speaking of Texas, look at my hat. I'm probably the only Filipino that's a fan of Willie Nelson. But look at this dope hat. I'm prepared to go to Dallas. I might even tattoo wearing a cowboy hat. Would that be appropriate? Is that wrong? Would I get canceled? Let me know. All right. With that, here is the first question. So as I'm editing, I forgot to mention that these voices that you're going to hear are AI recreations of actual Filipinos. It's from a service that I use to clone my voice called 11 Labs. And so it's where people can upload clones of their voices, and people can use, and they make money. So the original questions that are in this episode came in as DMs. So I just added a voice to them. All right, here you go.
I notice you have gold teeth in your videos. Are those braces or fronts?
Well, thank you, Anonymous, for that question. Um, these are not fronts, so you can see it in the video. These are actually, people would say tooth gems, but they're 18 karat gold, solid gold, on my front teeth and lower teeth. I had them on the fangs, but because of the gold was a bit too thick, that when I ate a turon, it popped out. So these aren't really ideal places to place these gold pieces because the tooth is also curved in that area. So it's best if it's in the flat area. But anyway, so this is a recreation of what our ancestors did when they had gold pegs that were drilled. But they even had fronts. There's not that much documentation about it, so it's not well known. But we do know of a couple artifacts. There's the famous Bolinao skull from Bolinao, Pangasinan, where people think that it's fish scales. But it's actually, my theory is that this dude was so rich, and he told the Mammusad, the person that applies the gold, like sort of like a blacksmith or goldsmith, that fill my teeth up with the gold. And if you see this picture of it, is that the gold pieces overlap and they look like fish scales. Because the other things, the other specimens that we see, they're kind of flat. So they would drill a hole into the tooth, put in the gold peg, and then file or flatten it so it's like flush against the tooth. But this one was sticking out, and I think that it's impractical. Two, the guy had hella money, so that he could do that and wanted to flaunt it. So that's my theory on that. But anyway, going back to these gold pegs. So my goal is to kind of recreate these in a modern, safe, hygienic way. I'm not going to be drilling teeth, but maybe in the future there is maybe an option to do that. Not by me, but maybe those that are dentists. There's a lot of Filipino dentists out there. In fact, the Tongans, they have this tradition where they melt heirloom jewelry like necklaces, rings, and make them into gold pegs that are drilled or I guess placed on a tooth. So there is, I think, room to explore that. But what I'm trying to do is something that is, I don't know if it's temporary. I mean, if it's placed good, like Myra from Love Crystal's Namaste did these on me, and I've had these on since like 2021. They haven't fallen off. The bottom ones fell off maybe a couple times by eating peanuts or something like that, but in general they stay there pretty good. So related to this project that I kind of explored, I'm writing a book about it, and the book is titled, it's got such a dope name though. I don't want to say it until I'm ready to release it. And plus I'm busy promoting this Little Mama Batok book right now on Kickstarter. Plug in that. But I'll give you a hint. The title is 3 initials GGG. But more on that later. But I'm writing a book about this gold teeth practice. And with that, I'm going to announce a new offering, I guess, that will come with it. But stay tuned for that. It should be coming really soon. I just need to get this Little Mamba Batok book out. But yeah, thank you for the question. But yes, these are not braces. I did have braces. They actually feel like braces, actually. I had braces for a long time as a kid, and they kind of feel like the brackets. And that's how they're actually placed on the tooth, is using the dental bonding, the exact same thing that they use for brackets. I think I'm going to do a special video about this in the future, but stay tuned. I'm excited to share the work that I'm doing in this space. And with that, next question.
Do you ever mix traditional batok with modern tattoo styles?
So it's an interesting thought that I get it not quite often, but once in a while, like mixing traditional hand tap in a modern style. And I remember I had someone ask, because I was their Visayan, specifically from Cebu, and I showed some documentation of Visayan Cebuano tattoos, and they asked like, could it be more curvy, to kind of go around the shape of their body and things like that. Which, in my response was that that wasn't done traditionally because they're only familiar with the stuff that they've seen, which is the Filipino fusion, and that's what the majority think when they hear of quote unquote tribal tattoos. But I guess in my practice specifically, I can only speak to what I do. Um, I can argue that tattooing sulat meaning baybayin, is a modern take. And I think that because we don't know for sure, probably wasn't tattooed. We have documentation of someone from the Mangyan ethno-linguistic group in Mindoro had a tattoo with Surat Mangyan, but we don't know if that was a general practice or a one-off. And I actually asked some of the Mangyan folks about that, but they didn't know, if that was something that was done. But it might have, because we know that there are transferable patterns from the skin to pottery to fabric, and we know that they were all shared universally. So maybe, because we do know that the writing was scratched on bamboo. So my take on it is a little different on how I modernize, the tattooing, rather than, like the shapes in the Filipino style. But I think that with the writing itself, when I've tattooed it to mimic the scratches, the angular shapes on bamboo, like using the body as a bamboo piece. So that is a modern take on the script. But when I first started getting into batok, Lane Wilkin, for those that you don't know, my teacher, and in the early days, maybe like in 2014 or 15, when some people would ask for baybayin, and that was something that Lane knew that I wanted to get into, and he would let me draw the words on their skin using Sharpies, and then he would tattoo it. And this was in my calligraphy style. And I thought, at the time, oh, that's kind of cool. But I didn't know if that's the direction I wanted to. I wanted to have something that was rooted. And it wasn't until I started practicing more and exploring in my own practice that I wanted to do something that was a bit more angular. But now, I think that I'm open to doing something that's a bit more in this, the style that I'm known for, which is, calligraphy. That's hand tap. I haven't done one yet. I almost did one, but we opted for something else. But I think that modifying or going into a modern direction, can be done, but it should be done slowly. And it's always should be a tug of war, I think, with yourself, right? But that said, no, I don't do the Filipino style. If that's what you mean in modern, I guess I would come back and ask, like, what do you mean by modern? And when I hear that, I usually assume like a modern contemporary pattern, and I don't mean like traditionally laid out or anything like that. I think modern also means like the hygiene, that's modern, using gloves and sanitizing and all of that stuff. That is modern. But we, and I like to specifically focus on the three foundations, which is traditional, what I consider traditional, which is one, it's in ceremony, and the intent is to honor the ancestors. And that can manifest in a couple ways, whether it's prayer, silent prayer, out loud prayer. Food offering is a physical manifestation of this ceremony. And it could be food that is handed down from the family, or favorite recipe, or Popeye's chicken that, Lola liked to eat, or whatever. So I think, that is the first step, is that we have this offering. You may hear some terms about this offering. In Tagalog, it's alay, atang, Ilocano, Bisaya, halad. Then the second pillar is appropriate patterns based on your lineage, specifically where in the Philippines is your lineage. And I understand that sometimes we don't know, and that's okay. We may know a little, and that's where we can start with. And then as you find out more, then your patterns can grow. I'm not a fan of someone coming to me and saying that, oh, I want to do a full bodysuit or a full arm sleeve, but I don't know where my family's from. I don't have any intention. I don't know much. And so that's where I can kind of step in and kind of help and guide. But I always push back and say, well, let's just do a small piece first. And then as you kind of understand more and grow into yourself, experience more in life, then let's add to it. And then the third pillar is 100% handmade tools. And that is the tools that we use to hand tap. We don't attach a metal tattoo needle to a stick and hit it. Even the needles, the combs are all handmade by bone or with thorn or with even brass. So there's a couple ways that we could look at it, but I think for me, because you want to go how far back, like did I hand make this carve this tool, this back scratcher that I use for batok? No, I didn't. We use it and then we can shape it, or it could be as simple as grabbing bamboo from a garden and cutting it at its simplest form. Part of the handmade tools is also the lashing that we do as well, and this is in a way to pass on the crafts, the craft of it, because that has been lost. It was broken. And so we're trying to revitalize that. So it goes beyond just the markings, but actually the craft of making these tools that were graciously, taught to us by our Samoan and Hawaiian cousins. So there, 3 pillars in ceremony, appropriate patterns, handmade tools. Next question.
Hi, Christian. I'm a 30-plus-year-old HR professional from Chicago. My passion is art and community-based work, but it doesn't pay the bills. While I like my job, I don't love it. It's not my passion. What's your advice for someone in my position? Thank you, and keep up the good work.
So I need to get back to Chicago. I haven't been there since I think 2018, doing something in Champaign. I think that's where it was. Did a talk out there. What else? Oh yeah, Chicago. I was thinking, you know what? I haven't had Chicago deep dish pizza in a while. I was in New York recently, but I think Chicago pizza's better. Don't tell them that. But okay, so back to the question. I feel I 100% feel this. But I mean, I'm not trying to sound, I don't intend to sound mean or harsh, but here's the reality. The world doesn't owe you to get paid for your passions. That's just the truth. You could be passionate about other things and you want to make money, painting lizards or something like that. But the world does not owe you that. I can tell you from personal experience that I've tried, and I'm still trying to do it, to be honest. Like the world doesn't owe me a lavish lifestyle for tattooing people or writing people's names in Baybayin or making crochet dresses, or it depends on what your passion is. But you did mention you're making some money, but it's not enough. Welcome to reality, right? I mean, people like work at a job that they hate, and guess what? It's not enough. So it is a luxury to actually be able to make a living doing something that you love. There's that saying, if you, what was that? If you find work doing something you love, you don't have to work a day in your life. I agree to some extent, but I think that the reality is that the world doesn't owe you it. I mean, that's just a fact. But I would continue to explore that because especially in this world today, where the BS of like corporate entities say, "Oh, we are family and we love you, welcome you with open arms, and here's a cupcake and some champagne once a quarter, and then here's like a bonus that we're gonna tax and all of that stuff," and then they fire you the next day for no reason, or like because of shareholder blah 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 blah, or get pressure from the government, HR if you work in DI or something. So I would always have something in your back pocket. So I don't know what your passion is. I won't be able to give you good advice, if you're eventually going to make a living from it. But it seems like you're making some money. I mean, when I was in your place, I mean, I still am, I would continue to work your day HR job. And when you get to a certain point where you're making, say, 50% of your salary, you can optimize what you're doing and make that 50% to 75%. You would have to, I know it's tough, you do an 8-hour, 9, 10-hour job, and then you go home or on the weekends, and then you do this other, side hustle. But I would invest in like trying to figure out how to manage your time, how to scale your side business. Use the money that and the experience that you have in your day job to figure out how to do that. You work with much more probably complicated matters during your day job compared to whatever side business you're doing. So use those skills that you have to optimize your side business. And one thing that helped me too is that I used to call it my side gig, but I changed my mentality where I made my day job my side gig. Even though the day job paid a hell of a lot more, but I looked at it as my side gig. I spent more time, more blood, more sweat, and more tears, all that stuff on the passion project than the main project, which is the one that paid the bills. So if you do that, you can kind of like, all right, this is something that I'm doing just to fund this side gig or main gig until that I can quit or get fired. But I think if you get to that, 50 to 75% enough, I would sit down and evaluate, like, is this enough? Maybe I don't need to eat out at fancy restaurants every week, or maybe I don't need all these clothes. Maybe I don't need all of these. So I think if you look at it that way, then maybe, I had to downscale myself because, yeah, I'm tattooing, I'm doing art, but I don't have that cushy corporate job to kind of replace or as a fallback just in case. I can't be sloppy. I have to really be on my shit, if you know what I'm saying. So I would look to see if maybe there's some lifestyle things that you can cut or lessen to benefit your passion. But I do must warn you, turning your passion into a business is a good way to lose that passion, because it's all fun when you don't have the pressure of making money, but then when you have to do it and then you get tax on it, it's a good way to kind of lose your taste. You know what I'm saying? All right, that's it for this episode. Salamat to all the questions. I hope that all of you were able to find some guidance in my questions. If anyone disagrees or anything like that, feel free to comment or reach out. But I think we need more people like the person working in HR. We need those folks to create their own corporations in the spirit of the community. But yeah, so that's it for Barako and BS. If you have a question, send me a voice memo or a video with your question. Stay tuned next week for the series called KK Labs, where it's my playground to experiment with things. So if you're into weird stuff and experimental things, then stay tuned next week. After that, Salamat. Peace.